Hello everybody, it's Ryan again. Lesson 34 of Learning HTML and CSS. And here we're going to be learning about bullets. So bullets, I'm sure you're familiar with from a word processor, where you could have numbered bullets or you could have shapes like squares or circles. And so in HTML we use a tag. If we go to the tag reference, you'll see in W3 Schools there's a tag called UL, which stands for unordered list. And there's a tag called OL, which stands for an ordered list. So you choose one of the two, depending on if you want a numbered list or an unnumbered list. And then within those tags, we have another tag called an li tag, which stands for a list item. So let's give this a shot. We'll begin with an unordered list. Inside of this unordered list, I'll have a whole lot of list items. An unordered list is a block element. Okay, so there's apples, oranges, and pears. Notice how it indents all of these from the margin, and it puts a little circle next to each one. Okay, you can also have a list within lists, a list of bullets within another list of bullets. For example, we have multiple types of apples, so we could just open up another unordered list inside of this. It gets a bit confusing unless you indent, so it would be a good idea to indent. Granny Smith and Golden Delicious. So here's the outer unordered list that has 3 items: apples. Okay, that's whole thing is apples, oranges, and pears. Within apples, in other words, before the item of apples is finished, we have another unordered list with its own 2 items. So it's a sublist. Let's see how it looks. So that's quite nice. It actually indents it further, changes even the shape of the bullet, and puts it underneath apples. So we can see quite clearly that those 2 belong to apples. Okay, and you can add as many lists within lists within lists as you'd like to. So that's basically your unordered lists. We can also add a little bit of presentation to this with CSS. Change the color, maybe the font. And that's the basics of what you can change, but in terms of the shape, you can change that as well. Under the CSS reference, we actually have quite a nice style sheet. It's under lists and counters. It's called list-style-type. It allows you to change the look of the bullet. So there's quite a number of them, but most of them are actually for ordered lists, which we're still going to do. The ones that are relevant to unordered lists would be disk, circle, and square. It doesn't give us much of a choice, but let's see. If I say list-style-type and I make it a square, let's see what happens. See, now all the shapes are squares. Disk, that's the round colored in circle, and then circle is also a circle but it's not colored in. Okay, if you wanted the middle item to be different, we could always make a class for that, and so we'd say class equals, maybe I'll have green squares for the middle. So class, remember, begins with a full stop. Maybe set the color to green and list dash style dash type, make it square. So remember, class takes priority over normal elements tag. Okay, now we can also design our own bullet. I use software called GIMP to do that, or you could use Photoshop, any kind of graphical program. Just create a new image, and because I'm using a font size of 16 pixels, I'll just make it 16 by 16. It's quite small to work with, so I'm going to zoom in, and then I just need to get a color to work with. My brush I can make smaller. Let's see. Use your square brackets to resize your brush. Maybe choose another color. Not a very good design, but just trying to illustrate how it works. Okay, there's my bullet. When you're happy with it, just save it. And I'm going to save it to my pics folder. I'm going to call it bullet.png. PNG is a good idea because it allows you to save it up to 16 million colors. And then the style sheet is going to be a little bit different. So instead of using list dash style dash type, we're going to use list dash style dash image. You'll see the syntax is the same as setting a background image. You say URL, round brackets, and then the name of the image. Okay, so I'll do it here for the green squares. I'll just say list dash style dash image, and then URL and bullet.png. Obviously you can't have both the list dash style dash type and the list dash style dash image. It's one of the two. And there you can see the shape has changed. The text itself is still green because of the color, but the bullet has changed. So this gives you a bit of flexibility. If you don't like the traditional circle, disc or square, you can come up with your own bullet design and then use that. Okay, then another type of bullet, remember, is the ordered list, which is just the OL. So you still have the LIs for list item. The only thing that changes is the UL becomes an OL. So there you can see it's now 1, 2, 3 instead of square, 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 or circle, circle, circle. It has some sort of order to it. And this can also be styled with CSS. Obviously we won't use an image because the whole point of an ordered list is it's supposed to show some sort of order to it. We'll rather use the list dash style dash type again. Obviously not disc, circle or square, but this time we could use, say, Armenian, decimal, Hebrew, Lower Greek, even the Lower Roman, and so on. Okay, so let's do an example. I'll say an ordered list. List dash style dash type, and I'll use Lower Roman. I'll just set the color to blue. Okay, the Roman numerals, lowercase. You could also have upper Roman numerals, upper dash Roman. There's also upper Latin. Latin is your ABC, or there's lower Latin. And then the default is decimal, which is just 1, 2, 3. And that pretty much ends our lesson in working with bullets in HTML and CSS.